Afternoon, everyone. It is a relatively cool, as relatively cool as you can be in August afternoon, about 90-ish degrees outside. We had some storms earlier in the day, so I think it helped cool things off, though I was sweating at work, just in a hotter part of the industrial plant. But that's all good, and that's all well, because I'm heading home today. Let's get into the news. I think they should be somewhere in a little ad break, but we'll see where we are.
Here on GBB.
Support for NPR comes from the station and from Raymond James, a firm focused on transforming lives, businesses, and communities through tailored wealth management, banking, and capital market solutions. Disclosures at raymondjames.com. From Indeed, committed to giving job listings increased visibility with relevant candidates through its sponsored jobs feature. Learn more at Indeed.com/NPR. And from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation at macfound.org.
Fighting the urge to verbatim say them all.
And I'm Mary Louise Kelly. Tonight, the Kennedy Center here in Washington is set to welcome the Tony Award-winning revival of the musical Parade. The show tells the real-life story of a violent anti-Semitic incident in the South in 1915. The musical's production is arriving here in D.C. at a tense time. President Trump has executed a takeover of the Kennedy Center, and a prominent member of the Trump administration has promoted anti-Semitic theory on the subject of the show. NPR's Tom Dreisbach reports, and a warning that this story includes offensive language.
Oh, that's what that drum sound was. I thought it was
dramatizes a true crime story that captivated
interference from another station.
Leo Frank is a Jewish northerner living in the southern city of Atlanta, where he managed a pencil factory. Frank was accused of murdering a 13-year-old girl, Mary Fagan, who worked in the factory. His trial was a spectacle, gripped by the threat of mob violence and warped by prejudice. When Frank's case went to the jury,
How the lyric?
he was sentenced to death, but his sentence was commuted when doubts about his guilt grew. Then, after a prominent newspaper called Frank a Jewish hunter of Gentile girls and demanded vigilante justice, a group of men stormed the prison, kidnapped Frank. They took him to Mary Fagan's hometown, handcuffed him, tied a rope around his neck, and then a tree.
Wow. Hate knows no bounds.
The men who lynched Leo Frank on August 17, 1915 were never charged. The incident helped lead to a resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan, but also the creation of the Anti-Defamation League, the Jewish civil rights group. Today, most historians agree that Frank was clearly a victim of anti-Semitic bigotry and likely innocent. The state of Georgia formally pardoned him in the 1980s. The playwright behind Parade is named Alfred Murray. He grew up in Atlanta, born in the 1930s. His family is Jewish and actually knew the Franks.
The German Jewish community was very small. When I was born, nobody talked about it at all. I had to go to the library to look it up when I was a kid. And it was very important to me to be able to tell the story.
The first production of Parade came out in the late 1990s and was critically acclaimed. In 2023, Urey said the show's revival reached even greater success.
Either fortunately or unfortunately, the zeitgeist was with us. The thing got very timely.
Part of that zeitgeist was the rise of anti-Semitic hate. A group of neo-Nazis showed up to protest the show, calling Frank a pedophile and Jewish terrorist.
Disgusting.
The irony of that thing was these people hand printed signs on sheets, and it looked just like the props in the show.
And it's not just neo-Nazis pushing these ideas about the Leo Frank case.
There's a picture of him right there. He looks evil to me.
Last year, far-right influencer and conspiracy theorist Candace Owens ranted on several of her podcasts about the Frank case, claiming that Judaism and the state of Israel promote pedophilia.
We're talking about men like Leo Frank who rape little girls, know that they can go. They're Jewish. They can go to Israel, no provided a safe haven.
Another right-wing influencer named Kingsley Wilson posted on social media just a few
What hurts is that there's a tiny bit of truth, but it's not for like Jewish people. It's for it's for like people who are already in power over there. It's kind of similar to like the Epstein thing here in America. There was a was it like Alex Zenstrov? He is an Israeli diplomat. He was over here in the States, and he was part of a sting that I believe was done by the FBI for soliciting a minor, and he was able to escape back to Israel. But that's not because Israel is a haven for Jewish sex criminals. It's because he was a man in power, and nations like that, or nations tend to protect the powerful, unless they have any real morals, which, I mean, the Israeli state is the Israeli state. But that's just one of those points that just like inflame anti-Semitism, unfortunately. Like, the actions of the Israeli state is not the action of all Jews. And it's something that's very important for all of us to recognize. And many people here in America have already recognized that. But it's very easy to fall into reactionary thinking and to associate one with the other. And when a state, a nation, a government does something horrible, as states and governments tend to do, it's disgusting to then apply that to an entire religious group where there's more people who are part of the religious group outside of the state than there are inside of it. So, Candace Owens is a piece of shit. And it's disgusting that she's weaponizing a tiny kernel of truth of a piece of shit diplomat to smear an entire religious group.
But in an era when the president threatens everyone from political rivals to major corporations and even Beyonce on social media, it seems the producers of Parade are careful with how they talk about the show. I asked Urey about Kingsley Wilson's posts about Leo Frank.
I have no comment about that.
Jason Robert Brown wrote Parade's music and lyrics. He declined an interview request, but sent me an email. He said the show explores the currents of hatred running underneath America, and that the racist incitements from more than a century ago continue to be repeated by people at the highest levels of our government. But he wrote that the Kennedy Center is America's stage, and you can't tell the story of America without the story of Leo Frank and Mary Fagan. Tom Dreisbach, NPR News.
No. It is something important that we have to recognize as Americans, that we have a lot of shameful history. It was not a glorious time from 1775 till now. Our nation has made a lot of horrible choices, horrible decisions, and it's our duty to those that have sacrificed themselves in the past to continue our culture and our society on the right path. And that requires us to reflect on the obscenities of history, especially within our own nation.
The church isn't actually going very far, just 5 kilometers or just over 3 miles away, but it's expected to move at a pace of less than a mile per hour. Swedish television is airing the entire road trip. So if all goes well, the church will arrive at its new home sometime tomorrow.
Kind of just missed that story. I think it was talking about moving a church up north. Oh well. I want to get my point about our history. I felt like that was important to say.
A growing number of 20-somethings are getting a treatment known as baby botox. It is designed to prevent wrinkles. It freezes the facial muscles to limit movement so they don't form lines. Health reporter Sarah Bowden looks at what is driving this cosmetic trend.
Filler in Pittsburgh is unlike any doctor's office I've ever been to. It smells like a fancy hotel, sounds like a nightclub, and specializes in non-invasive aesthetic procedures. Attorney Stephanie Moore comes here about every 4 months to get Dysport. Very similar to Botox, Dysport is another brand of injectable drug that temporarily paralyzes the muscle.
It's one of my favorite ways to treat myself.
Moore paid $462 for today's treatment. She started coming here 3 years ago when she was 47. Medical
That's a couple
director
trips to the grocery
is
store.
administering the injections.
Well,
he instructs Moore to scrunch her smooth
I'm gonna do
face,
that.
Wrinkle upwards, perfect.
and then uses a green marker to dot where the creases and ridges appear. This is where he injects.
Her muscles in certain areas have died down from when I first met her.
Physicians I spoke to for the story said they've seen an uptick in 20-somethings and even some teens seeking it since the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr.
Your
Christopher
children.
Warren is a facial plastic surgeon in Houston.
Oh my god.
TikTok
I'm not even 30 yet. I don't have any
There's a
wrinkles.
lot more of this content on social media.
Oh my god.
Probably a degree of boredom too.
I know these people don't either.
Sociologist Dana Berkowitz wrote the book
Jesus.
Botox Nation.
Wasting
She says
money.
because younger people live so much of their lives online, they're more aware of their appearances. And this is further driven by influencers on TikTok and Instagram.
They get free Botox or filler or microneedling or whatever if they're filming it, and then they post it because they're just advertising.
The Food and Drug Administration has not
Gross.
approved cosmetic injectables for minors. In Hamilton, the
Yeah, and
plastic
it
division
shouldn't.
says there is no right age to start.
And sometimes we see people in their mid-20s that have a lot of wrinkles, and that's just life.
These drugs are derived from the same bacteria that causes botulism, though because it's administered in small doses, physicians say it doesn't pose a risk. But Miami-based plastic surgeon Dr. Paul Duran says Botox can cause too much muscle atrophy, which can make your face look hollow over time.
As we age, we lose volume with it, so you don't want to compound that with causing muscle atrophy.
He says that hollow look is easy to avoid by not overdoing it, but there are people who end up looking frozen. Duran says
Yeah,
if a
the
patient is
creepy
recruited
old
enough,
doll
they'll be
people
able to
who are
find a
like-
clinician to give them more aggressive
they're like
injections.
40 and
That's
their
partly
face
because
looks like
it's
it was
so
dipped in
lucrative
plastic
area
30 years
insurance
ago.
to reimburse for it, people pay out of pocket. Also, sociologist Dana Berkowitz says once patients start getting Botox or a similar drug, they usually don't stop.
So once you get people in their 20s, you have a lifelong consumer.
Berkowitz is one of those lifelong
Ugh,
consumers.
gross.
She explains that when you stop getting injections, the effects eventually wear off, so people feel pressured to continue.
And Botox is not only addictive in that way, but it can also be a gateway drug into other cosmetic procedures.
Meaning those who start at 25 can spend thousands of dollars by their mid-30s.
Jesus,
That's a
too
lot of money
much.
that a young person could invest elsewhere.
Need to go back to Kendrick Lamar's beautiful words from the song Humble. I need an ass with some stretch marks. Need something natural, you know? Oh man, that guy's cooking. I wonder if y'all can hear that. I can barely hear myself. But man, I mean, I understand getting worked up into yourself, you know? I mean, I work out because I want to look good. I mean, I also want to work out because like I want to be healthy and I want to be strong, you know? But looking good feels good, you know? You feel good when you look good, but I couldn't do Botox or any of that stuff like that. Any of that aesthetic surgery just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't think most people should do it unless like it is just destroying their mental health. Which means working with, you know, a certified doctor, psychiatrist, you know, people like that who will give recommendations to do that. They think, you know, essentially a form of, you know, body dysmorphia in a way. You're looking at your own body in a negative light, and so much so that it causes you to you know, hate yourself or have disturbing thoughts, things like that. You know, then I think it's all justified. But if you don't want an extra line on your face, I don't know. Maybe that would be enough to deter people and, you know, grow into themselves and be comfortable with the inevitability of aging instead of trying to run away from it. Because I'm gonna get old one day. You're gonna get old one day. I hope, you know. I hope to live a long, happy life, and I hope everyone gets to live a long, happy life. But part of that's, you're gonna get a couple wrinkles. You know, you're gonna start to sag in places that you didn't sag before. I mean, for me, my face, I mean, I think it looks rather young, but I'm starting to get a couple gray hairs up here and there, and that's just genetics. You know, I don't think me having a couple gray hairs is gonna be that big a deal, and I'm not gonna be reaching for the Just for Men anytime soon. So, or whatever the hair dye brand is. You know, so I'll be good on that. But we'll leave it there for the day. I think there were 2 really good stories that we got to listen to today. The first one with Leo Frank and his tragedy and the disgustingness of antisemitism. And how people weaponize the terrible actions of a few to convict the many. And then, you know, the very interesting topic of aging and how people fight it. But I hope all y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow morning.